Rapid Support Forces. The Rapid Support Forces are a Sudanese paramilitary group formed in 2013 from the Janjaweed militias that carried out the Darfur atrocities in the 2000s, led by Mohammed Hamdan Hemeti Dagalo. The RSF was initially integrated into Sudan's security apparatus, but retained independent command, becoming one of the country's most powerful armed groups. Since the outbreak of Sudan's civil war in April 2023, the RSF has been accused by the United Nations, Amnesty International, and Human Rights Watch of committing large-scale war crimes and crimes against humanity. Their forces have conducted mass killings, summary executions, and ethnically targeted attacks, particularly against non-Arab groups such as the Masalite in Darfur. Satellite imagery and field reports reveal entire towns destroyed and thousands of civilians executed or disappeared. The RSF has also been documented carrying out systematic sexual violence, using rape and torture as weapons of war to terrorize populations and drive communities from their homes. Humanitarian agencies report that RSF sieges have cut off aid routes, creating famine-like conditions in multiple regions. Witness testimonies describe armed raids on hospitals, looting of humanitarian supplies, and forced recruitment of civilians, including children. These acts are seen by investigators as deliberate attempts to instill fear, dominate territory, and reshape ethnic demographics, tactics that meet the practical definition of terrorism under international norms. Boko Haram. Boko Haram is one of the deadliest Islamist terror groups in the world, operating mainly in northeastern Nigeria and across the Lake Chad Basin. The group's core aim is to overthrow secular governance and impose an extreme interpretation of Islamic law, rejecting Western education and culture entirely. Its campaign of terror includes mass killings, bombings, and kidnappings targeting civilians, schools, churches, and mosques. Boko Haram has deliberately attacked children and teachers, burning and destroying hundreds of schools to halt modern education. The group became internationally notorious after abducting 276 schoolgirls from Chibok in 2014, many of whom were enslaved or forced into marriage. It uses women and children as suicide bombers, raids villages, massacres entire communities, and displaces millions through scorched earth tactics. Human Rights Watch and the United Nations have documented its crimes as systematic and possibly amounting to crimes against humanity. Boko Haram's violence has devastated Nigeria's northeast and destabilized surrounding nations, with its operations expanding into Chad, Niger, and Cameroon. Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab is a powerful Islamist terror group based in Somalia, known for its brutal insurgency and allegiance to Al-Qaeda. The group's main goal is to overthrow the Somali government and impose a strict version of Sharia law while expelling all foreign influence from the country. It emerged in the mid-2000s from the Islamic Courts Union and quickly became one of Africa's deadliest militant organizations. Al-Shabaab uses suicide bombings, car bombs, assassinations, and mass shootings to create fear and destabilize the region. Its attacks have killed tens of thousands of civilians, targeting government buildings, markets, schools, hotels, and even hospitals. The group has carried out large-scale massacres, such as the 2013 Westgate Mall attack in Kenya, which killed 67 people, and the 2017 Mogadishu truck bombing that killed over 500, one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in Africa's history. Al-Shabaab frequently targets civilians, aid workers, and journalists, and has been responsible for kidnappings, forced recruitment of children, and executions of those accused of opposing its rule. It also extorts millions of dollars from businesses and rural populations to fund its operations. Beyond Somalia, it continues to strike in Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia, expanding its regional reach. Recognized globally as a terrorist organization, Al-Shabaab remains one of the most violent and enduring jihadist movements in Africa, sustaining its power through fear, violence, and control of local communities. Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is a global Islamist terror network founded in 1988 by Osama bin Laden with the goal of establishing a worldwide Islamic caliphate governed by strict Sharia law. The group's ideology is built on violent jihad, opposing Western influence and overthrowing secular Muslim governments it considers corrupt or un-Islamic. Despite heavy military pressure, Al-Qaeda remains active through regional affiliates in Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia, maintaining a decentralized yet coordinated global presence. In Afghanistan, it operates training camps and provides support to the Taliban, strengthening its foothold after the withdrawal of U.S. forces. In Yemen, its branch Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula continues to plan attacks and exploit political instability to control territory. Across the Sahel, its affiliate Jama'at Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin conducts deadly raids and suicide bombings, expanding Al-Qaeda's reach into new African regions. The group finances its activities through smuggling, extortion, and illicit trade, ensuring a steady flow of resources to sustain its fighters. Al-Qaeda uses propaganda and online recruitment to spread its ideology globally, inspiring lone wolf attackers and allied jihadist groups. Ansura. Ansura is a Nigerian Islamist militant group that emerged in 2012 as a splinter from Boko Haram, claiming to follow a stricter, more targeted jihadist approach. The group aligns ideologically with Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and seeks to overthrow secular and foreign-influenced governance in Nigeria. Establishing a strict Islamist state, Ansura has carried out kidnappings of foreign nationals and Nigerian citizens, often executing hostages to terrorize local and international communities. It has attacked military convoys, government infrastructure, and security personnel using guerrilla tactics and ambushes, particularly in north-central and northwest Nigeria. The group collaborates with local bandit networks, extorting communities and asserting de facto control in areas where government presence is weak, combining insurgency with criminal governance. Taliban. The Taliban is an ultra-conservative Islamist group that has ruled Afghanistan intermittently since the 1990s, enforcing a strict interpretation of Sharia law combined with Pashtun tribal codes. Their ideology rejects Western influence and secular governance, seeking to control society through religious and military authority. Since retaking power in 2021, the Taliban have committed widespread repression, including banning girls from secondary and higher education, restricting women's employment and freedom of movement, and targeting journalists, civil society activists, and former government employees. They have also conducted extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests, and enforced disappearances, particularly against ethnic and religious minorities like the Hazara community. The Taliban collaborate with transnational jihadist groups such as Al-Qaeda, providing safe haven and operational support, which raises concerns about Afghanistan as a base for international terrorism. Their governance combines ideological enforcement with coercion, extortion, and limited provision of order, creating one of the most severe humanitarian crises in the world. ISIS, also known as Islamic State, is a jihadist terrorist organization that emerged from the remnants of Al-Qaeda in Iraq and expanded into Syria during the Civil War, declaring a self-styled caliphate in 2014. Its ideology seeks to establish a global Islamic state governed by a strict interpretation of Sharia law, reject secular governance, and eliminate Western influence. At its peak, ISIS controlled millions of people across Iraq and Syria, funding its operations through oil smuggling, taxation, looting, and kidnapping for ransom. Although it lost most of its territorial holdings by 2019, the group has adapted into a decentralized network with active affiliates worldwide, including IS Khorasan in Afghanistan, ISWAP in West Africa, and branches in East Africa and the Sahel. ISIS continues to conduct guerrilla-style attacks, bombings, assassinations, kidnappings, and insurgent operations in areas of weak governance, targeting civilians, government forces, and minority communities. The group also spreads propaganda online to recruit fighters globally and inspire lone wolf attacks. HAMAS. HAMAS is a Palestinian Islamist organization that combines political governance with militant activity, primarily operating in the Gaza Strip since seizing control in 2007. Ideologically, it seeks the liberation of all Palestinian territories and the establishment of an Islamic State, refusing to recognize Israel and advocating armed struggle as a religious and political duty. Its military wing, the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigades, has carried out numerous attacks against Israeli civilians and military targets, including rocket fire, suicide bombings, tunnel infiltrations, and other forms of guerrilla warfare. Hamas has also been accused of using civilian infrastructure, such as schools, hospitals, and residential areas, for military purposes, exposing civilians to danger and drawing international condemnation beyond armed attacks. Hamas maintains social and welfare networks in Gaza, which provide schools, clinics, and charities, strengthening local support while consolidating authoritarian control. The organization's dual nature as a governing body and an armed militant group, combined with its continued attacks on civilians and strategic infrastructure, has led many countries, including the US and the EU, to designate it as a terrorist organization, making it one of the most significant actors in the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Al-Nusra Front, also known as Jabhat al-Nusra, is a Syrian jihadist organization formed in 2012 as the official branch of Al-Qaeda in Syria. Its core ideology is Salafi jihadism, aiming to overthrow the Assad regime and establish an Islamic State governed strictly by Sharia law. The group has carried out numerous acts of terror, including suicide bombings, assassinations, and mass executions targeting Syrian government forces, civilians, and minority groups such as Alawites and Shiites. Al-Nusra became one of the most powerful factions in the Syrian civil war, using guerrilla warfare and terror tactics to control territories, enforce religious law, and suppress dissent. It has also been responsible for kidnappings, the public execution of prisoners, and the destruction of religious sites it deemed un-Islamic. To gain local legitimacy, the group established Islamic courts, collected taxes, and provided limited public services, blending governance with violent extremism. Despite rebranding itself as Jabhat Fatah al-Sham in 2016 to distance from al-Qaeda, its ideology and methods remain rooted in global jihadism. Today, it continues to operate in northwestern Syria, posing a significant terrorist threat through its persistent militancy, extremist governance, and ties to international jihadist networks. Wilayat Sinai, also known as the Sinai province of the Islamic State, is a jihadist group based in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula that emerged from the militant organization Ansar Bait al-Maqdis. After pledging allegiance to ISIS in 2014, its ideology is rooted in Salafi jihadism, aiming to overthrow the Egyptian government, eliminate Western influence, and establish an Islamic State under strict Sharia law. The group has carried out hundreds of deadly attacks targeting Egyptian military and police forces, Christian civilians, and local residents accused of collaborating with authorities. One of its most horrific atrocities occurred in 2017 when militants massacred more than 300 worshippers at the Al-Rawda Mosque in North Sinai. Wilayat Sinai has also used suicide bombings, roadside IEDs, and coordinated ambushes to destroy infrastructure and spread fear, even attacking naval and energy facilities. Although weakened by Egypt's military operations, the group continues to operate through small-scale insurgent attacks and extortion networks, exploiting local grievances and smuggling routes. Jama'at Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, JNIM, is a powerful Al-Qaeda-linked jihadist group operating across the Sahel region, formed in 2017 through the merger of several militant factions, including Ansar al-Din and al-Murabitun. Its ideology is rooted in Salafi jihadism, seeking to overthrow secular governments in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to establish an Islamic State under strict Sharia law. JNIM has carried out hundreds of attacks using suicide bombings, roadside IEDs, ambushes, and assaults on military bases, UN peacekeepers, and civilian convoys. The group has also kidnapped Westerners, government officials, and aid workers for ransom, using the funds to finance its insurgency. It enforces control in rural areas through fear, taxation, and brutal punishment of perceived collaborators, while exploiting local ethnic and political tensions to recruit fighters. JNIM's campaigns have killed thousands, displaced millions, and destabilized entire regions, undermining state authority and humanitarian access. Despite international counterterrorism efforts, the group continues to expand its influence, adapting its tactics and embedding itself within communities, making it one of the most dangerous Al-Qaeda affiliates in Africa today. Al-Muhajiroun. Al-Muhajiroun is a banned Islamist extremist group founded in the United Kingdom in the 1990s by Omar Bakri Mohammed. The group follows a radical Salafi jihadist ideology that rejects democracy and Western laws, calling instead for a global Islamic caliphate governed under strict Sharia law. It became known for openly glorifying terrorism, celebrating the 9/11 attacks, and encouraging British Muslims to join jihadist movements abroad in places like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. Many individuals connected to Al-Muhajiroun have gone on to commit or support acts of terror, including the 2013 murder of British soldier Lee Rigby and plots inspired by ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The group has operated under several aliases such as Islam for UK, Muslims Against Crusades, and the Saved Sect, allowing it to survive multiple government bans. Its members have organized hate rallies, promoted anti-Western propaganda, and attempted to impose extremist codes through Sharia patrols in British cities. Despite being outlawed, its network remains one of the most influential breeding grounds for jihadist radicalization in Western Europe, serving as a key ideological gateway between street-level extremism and global terrorist movements.